Have you ever wondered how climate change has been shaping our world? A question, simple yet profound, that poses a challenge to our understanding of the world we live in. It's no secret that our planet is undergoing significant transformations. The very climate that has cradled life for billions of years is changing, and these changes are happening at an ever-accelerating pace. As we stand at this pivotal juncture in our planet's history, it's time to delve into the depths of this complex issue. We're about to embark on a fascinating journey, one that will take us from the dawn of industrialization to the awakening of global consciousness and beyond. We're going to explore the turning points, the key events that have shaped our understanding and response to this global challenge. It's a journey filled with insights, revelations, and perhaps a glimpse into what the future holds. Join us as we journey through time and witness the transformation of our world. Our journey begins in the late 18th century with the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. The world was changing, shifting gears from an agrarian society to one that was fueled by industry and machinery. The Industrial Revolution marked a significant turning point in history. It not only transformed economies and cultures, but also the very fabric of our environment. As factories sprung up across Europe and North America, they belched out copious amounts of black smoke. This was the birth of greenhouse gas emissions on an unprecedented scale. At the heart of this transformation was coal, the black gold that powered the steam engines and the factories. It was a time of rapid progress, but with progress came a heavy price. The skies began to change. The once clear blue was now often cloaked in a shroud of smoke and smog. The first signs of climate change were beginning to make their mark. It was during this time that the scientific community started to notice subtle changes in our environment. The intrepid Swiss scientist Horace Benedict de Saussure observed changes in the glaciers in the Alps. He noted that they were retreating, a phenomenon unheard of at the time. In the early 19th century, French physicist Joseph Fourier recognized that the Earth's atmosphere was retaining more heat than it should. These observations were the first scientific inklings of what we now know as climate change. However, the public response was largely indifferent. The concept was too abstract, too distant. The world was in the throes of a new era of prosperity and progress. The invisible threat of climate change was overshadowed by the tangible benefits of industrialization. Despite the early warning signs, the world continued on its path of industrial growth, blissfully unaware of the long-term consequences. The factories continued to churn, the chimneys continued to smoke, and the world continued to warm. Little did they know, this was just the beginning. Moving forward to the 20th century, the world started to wake up. The blissful sleep of ignorance was being disrupted as the first whispers of a changing climate began to stir. People began to notice the subtle shifts in weather patterns, the rising sea levels, and the melting polar ice caps. In the early part of the century, a few lone voices in the wilderness tried to raise alarm, but their calls were largely ignored. The world was too busy dancing to the tune of industrialization and the promise of progress it brought along. However, as the century progressed, the whispers grew into a chorus. Scientists began to gather evidence, piecing together a puzzle that pointed to a stark reality. Our planet was warming, and we were the cause. The burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and the release of greenhouse gases were all contributing to a gradual but undeniable shift in our global climate. In the 1970s, the first international conferences on climate change were held. These meetings brought together scientists, policymakers, and activists from around the world, all united by a common concern for our planet's future. They grappled with the complexities of the issue, debating the best ways to tackle this emerging crisis. The 1980s saw the establishment of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC. This body, comprised of thousands of scientists from all corners of the globe, was tasked with assessing the scientific knowledge related to climate change. Their work has been instrumental in shaping our understanding of this complex issue, providing the hard data and evidence needed to spur action. The world was starting to take notice. The sleep of ignorance was finally being shaken off, replaced by a dawning realization of the magnitude of the problem we faced. However, the question lingered, hanging in the air like the smoke from 1,000 factories. Was it too late? Now, let's look into the future. What does climate change hold for us? As we forge ahead into the unknown, the potential scenarios of climate change loom large, shaped by current trends and scientific predictions. As we peer into the looking glass of the future, it is clear that climate change will continue to impact every facet of our lives, from our health and economy to the world's biodiversity. First off, let's consider health. As temperatures rise, heat waves will become more frequent and severe. This could lead to an increase in heat-related illnesses and deaths. On top of that, warmer conditions may foster the spread of infectious diseases, as mosquitoes and other disease carriers expand their geographical range. Moving on to the economy, climate change is poised to disrupt global economic structures. Rising sea levels could inundate coastal cities, causing massive property damage. Agricultural sectors may also suffer as changing weather patterns disrupt traditional growing seasons, leading to food shortages and rising prices. Lastly, let's not forget about biodiversity. Our planet is a symphony of life, with each species playing a crucial part. But climate change threatens to silence many of these voices. As habitats change or disappear, many species may not adapt quickly enough, leading to a tragic loss of biodiversity. Yet, despite these challenges, there is hope. Scientists and policymakers around the world are working tirelessly to mitigate these impacts. New technologies are being developed to harness renewable energy, and conservation efforts are being ramped up to protect endangered species. Moreover, each of us can play a part in shaping this future. By making conscious choices, like reducing our carbon footprint and supporting sustainable practices, we can help steer the course of climate change. So, as we stand on the precipice of the future, we must remember that it is not set in stone. The future is not something that happens to us, it's something we make. And while the challenges of climate change are daunting, they are not insurmountable. The future is in our hands. So, what can we do to combat climate change? It's a question that hangs in the air, a challenge that demands our attention. We may not all be scientists or policymakers, but we all have a role to play in this global theatre, a part in this unfolding drama. Consider the power you wield in your daily choices. By reducing our energy consumption, we can directly influence the demand for fossil fuels. It's as simple as switching off lights when we leave a room, or choosing to walk or cycle instead of drive when possible. Recycling is another tangible action we can take. By giving our waste a second chance, we reduce the need for new raw materials, thereby conserving our precious resources. Supporting renewable energy too is a step in the right direction. Whether it's installing solar panels or choosing a green energy provider, every effort counts. Together, we can make a difference. The time to act is now.